will your songs get taken down off Spotify if they were made using Suno AI music generator? There's one big factor to determine this, and that is what WMG wants or decides. That is right now the big issue, the reason why a lot of people are anxious. And I just did some videos about, what's going on in the AI music generating world, how Udio just formed a partnership, and now Suno just did with WMG. And Suno to me is a bigger deal, pretty much because Suno is the bigger platform. Suno's partnered with other companies as well. They also just acquired Songkick. So it's interesting seeing how things are happening very fast. And I just did a video literally yesterday talking about kind of what's going on where things are a bit vague. Like apparently Suno is going to kind of take down their older models. Does that mean the new models are going to be worse or better? Is there going to be fingerprinting in the new models, meaning there's a way to detect if it was made by Suno? How is this partnership going to evolve with WMG? A lot of this is kind of up in the air. And so a big thing I've gotten a lot of comments, questions, messages is people saying, hey, Mark, will my music get taken down? Should I not even use Suno? Should I delete some of my releases? I don't want to get flagged. Like, what's going to happen? Now, here's the truth. I'm going to start on Spotify's end. I'm going to start there. If I had to be honest, I think Spotify has a perspective because let's be honest, they know AI generated music is on their platform. And look at Breaking Rust. I've already talked about this in a lot of videos. Breaking Rust is a country artist. Got to stress, it's a AI country artist. And Breaking Rust hit #1 on the Billboard chart when it came to country music. First time this has ever happened. As you can imagine, a lot of country artists were furious. And it's still up on Spotify, but also Apple Music, but also, YouTube Music, also Rdio, Deezer, the list goes on. All these stores, things are pretty fine. And if you look at it from Spotify's perspective, and I've used this quote a lot in a lot of videos because I do like the quote from Mark Cuban, he said, I don't look at the glass as half full or half empty as long as I'm the one pouring the water. Meaning he's kind of saying like, look, I don't care what's going on as long as I'm the one, in a sense, in control. And for Spotify, they're probably saying like, hey, we don't care if it's made by AI or made by human. If people are going to our platform and listening to these songs, we don't care. And I hate to say it, I kind of get it. They're making money no matter what. In a sense, it's almost like a triple win. Maybe one aspect of that is a loss for human artists, but what I mean as a triple win is one, Spotify's making money. Cool for them. Two, the listener, right? Like the listener goes to Spotify, they'll listen to an AI song, like say they like it, and a lot of people have this mentality now, love it or hate it. As we go into 2026, a lot of people have this mentality, if it's a banger, it's a banger. If it's a really good song, I don't care if it was made by AI or human. If it's a really good song, I'm going to listen to it. So the second win is for the listener, because the listener is saying, hey, I get to listen to a good song. I'm going to stay on Spotify and continue listening to music. And the third one is for the AI artist, if I'd say it like that, where they made the song in Suno or Udio, whatever platform they used. They put it on Spotify, like say via DistroKid, which is right now, of course, the most popular independent music distributor. That's the one that I use. They put it on Spotify. It's a triple win. Spotify goes home with more money in their pocket. The listener goes home or stays at home, if it were like that, or wherever they are, listening to the song, being happy. The user who created the song, the producer, the engineer, however word you want to use it, the creator gets money from this because, of course, they get paid from streams, royalties, blah, blah, blah. Triple win. I think the only, like I said, fourth part of this kind of situation is a human artist who maybe misses out on a potential stream now or a potential listen, potential analytic because people are listening to AI music. So from the first perspective I want to say on this video, if I had to look at it from Spotify's angle, I think they kind of don't care. I think they're aware of what's going on. And of course, the biggest thing Spotify and all these companies want to do is not get in some situations. They don't want to throw hands or potentially throw hands with WMG. Let me say it like that. So they're going to be at the mercy of whatever WMG wants. And I don't think it would ever turn into a Spotify versus WMG situation. And so what I'm saying is that with Spotify, I think for right now, they probably don't care. I think they're aware of what's going on, but they're kind of at the mercy of what these other companies are planning on doing, especially from a legal perspective. So to talk about Spotify's situation, I think your music's fine. Let me just say it like that. Like, they don't care. The only thing they really do care about is if, like, say you are blatantly trying to game the algorithm by buying streams. And this has happened a lot. People have been caught of, like, say, making a bunch of songs, using the AI music generator, putting on Spotify, artificially buying streams and views and clicks and analytics and all this kind of stuff. And then what happens is Spotify takes it down being like, hey, too artificial, you're using bots, blah, 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 blah. That's a little different. I mean, if you could do that for a human artist, if you, like, say, bot streams for a human artist, same situation would happen. So from Spotify's perspective, I don't think I'd be as worried, to be honest. But like I said, going back to the main point of this video, I want to kind of get that out of the way because that's important to understand that sometimes, remember, there are a lot of moving parts to this. You're talking about DistroKid being worried about what's going on. You're talking about Spotify and, like, say, other streaming services being worried. But then let's go on the other side of this whole equation. Not even Suno, but WMG. Now, I could see WMG having a couple different angles on this. One, WMG might not care. They might say, hey, you know what? You're making a song on Suno. You're going to put it on Spotify. We don't care. Potentially possible. I don't know, though, because it seemed like the main thing that WMG wants to make sure is that because Suno was made using and studying copyrighted work, which I feel like is weird. I've not talked about this in any video, but it's weird that, like, and I get it from some programming perspectives that they were saying, look, you studied using copyrighted material, therefore your songs that you made, after learning this copyrighted material, we should have some claim to that revenue. Bit weird, because I studied Dylan Francis's songs. I've studied Skrillex's songs. I've studied, Dead Mouse's songs. All my inspirations. Pretty Lights was another big inspiration for me when it came to me starting to make music. Does that mean I have to give Pretty Lights a cut of my music because I listened to his beginning albums and studied the way he made the music and the arrangements? Tough to say. Granted, I think it's a little bit different of a human doing that and, like, reading something or listening to something or watching a YouTube video or tutorial as opposed to, like, say, a computer learning and programming from other things. So I do get that. But anyway, as a result of that, as a result of WMG's frustration, a lot of other record companies too, and a lot of entities, big entities, frustrations with Suno and Udio and other AI music generators, they're saying, look, we just want to make sure our artists get paid fairly because it's copyright material you were learning from. It could be, like, say, one, that WMG doesn't care if it's on Spotify, but two, if that's your angle with the lawsuit, and this is where things start to get a bit dicey, if that's your angle with the lawsuit, they're then going to be saying, okay, well, we maybe want our artists to be compensated fairly. Now, that means the second thing that could potentially happen is that when you go to release, like, say, an AI-generated song via Suno, it gets fingerprinted, which means through testing and analytics and programming and a bunch of different techniques, there's a million ways to fingerprint a song. The stores can see it's fingerprinted. Or maybe even starting even further than the stores, DistroKid or the distributor can tell this is fingerprinted. So it's almost like you don't need to go to ship out a package, right? If you think about it, look at DistroKid, if I'd even more like this, like UPS. You bring your music to UPS, right? Or your package UPS. UPS ships it out, it gets to the destination. Look at DistroKid, similar to that. They're shipping out your songs. And sometimes, like, say, with UPS, you go to give them a package and they check it and they're like, oh, this is fragile. Or maybe there's something in it that's dangerous potentially to ship. We just have to make sure to put a note on it. Like, this is fragile, this is this. In a sense, you could potentially give your music to, like, say, DistroKid. And then DistroKid says, ooh, we detect actually this fingerprint. We're going to put that on the package, so to speak, of your song in a virtual sense before we ship it out to stores, that when stores get it, they all know, hey, this is actually made by AI. Specifically, we know it's made by Suno. So the second thing that could happen is if that is going to be the case from a programming perspective, it could be the case that maybe whether it's via DistroKid or the stores, probably DistroKid's a bit easier, I'd guess, somehow they're going to get a cut. So DistroKid might say to you, like, hey, you can release this AI song. You can put it on stores, no issue here, but 50% of your revenue goes to WMG or goes to the respective parties that are, in a sense, fingerprinting it. It's almost in some sense of it, and I don't know if this is a good analogy or a good example or similarity. It's almost in some ways similar to, like, say, if I do a cover song of Bohemian Rhapsody. I say that as an example a lot because I feel like it's got to be a good cover if you're covering Bohemian Rhapsody. But I can do that. I can release Bohemian Rhapsody. I can do a cover of it. But Some of the royalties from a Bohemian Rhapsody cover, of course, goes to Queen or the respective parties that have the ownership of the masters, the recordings, the productions, etc., etc. So I can do both. I can still make money, but the respective parties who have the ownership of it, in a sense, can make money too. And this could be, I think, maybe, to be honest, the most realistic example. Because like I said, I don't see Spotify on their own taking down songs. I see Spotify saying, we're at the mercy and we'll do whatever we can to stay in WMG's good graces. Like I said earlier, they don't want to get in any conflictions. So I can see Spotify saying, hey, you know what? If you want us to just make sure that we mark this as AI generated, we'll do that. If you want us to make sure that you get the cut, again, this will probably come from DistroKid's end, we'll do that. And that's maybe what will happen with DistroKid. DistroKid will say, hey, you know what? We can tell this is made by Suno. We can tell it's fingerprinted. 50% of your revenue now goes to WMG. That, to me, if I had to put money on anything, might be the most realistic situation. I don't know if it's going to be a 50-50 split, if it's a 90-10 split. I don't know. But I think in some ways, my best guess in 2026 is that any song that's mainly AI generated via Suno, the revenue will probably in some ways get taken out to WMG because that was WMG's first issue. Now, granted, though, that could maybe not even happen because maybe WMG is getting, and this would be my guess, a cut from Suno's earnings. So WMG might say, hey, you know what? From all the people buying these Suno memberships, the premium, the pro memberships, from like say the people buying downloads, because soon you might have to buy downloads, there's going to be a limit. You know what? Because we have this all going on, we're just going to extract the revenue that we want from Suno, not DistroKid, not even Spotify. So again, this could be very unlikely. Like I said, the first thing that could happen is nothing happens with WMG. I think that's potentially possible. Second thing that's potentially possible, they take a revenue cutout. Again, third thing though that's potentially possible, but I think highly unlikely, is WMG says no releasing any song by Suno, period. It cannot go on Spotify, cannot go on any service. Not only that, they're going to block DistroKid. Just like if I had to ship out, I don't know, a package with something illicit or illegal in it, UPS would say, no, we're not even going to ship this out. We're not even going to try to put this, we're not even touching it. DistroKid might do that because WMG wants them to. So the third thing that might happen is just your music won't get me sent out. Could they even retroactively take songs down? That I highly doubt, but that's potentially possible. Although I will say very highly unlikely. But again, the number one thing that really comes down to, like I mentioned in the beginning of this video, is what do WMG wants? It's kind of up to them. They really have these three categories. Don't do anything, get money from the songs being released, or block songs from being released altogether when it comes to what's being made by Suno. That is what's unfortunate. I know that's a bit kind of nerve-wracking for a lot of people, but I want to make this video to kind of, at least hopefully in some way, at least to me, I find if I have a lot of information about what's going on with something, I feel a bit more at ease, even if it's still a bit nerve-wracking. Like, all right, at least I know what to kind of expect in different ways and categories. That's why I want to make this video. That really WMG, from my understanding and me looking at everything, really has those three angles they could take. And I feel like they might do a combination, to be honest, in an interesting way, between the first and the second option. I could see them really not doing anything, but then in other ways, maybe in different ways that maybe I don't even predict or can't expect, they might still, because they want to get the money somehow. So I could see them in some ways, like I said, maybe it's they still get their money, but they technically are not doing anything with your release. Don't have to worry about that, but they're just going after Suno. They might say to Suno, hey, you know what? We want more money from you. So Suno starts charging people more money. I mean, if you let's be honest, $10 a month for the Suno monthly membership for all the songs you make, I could be honest, that's actually a pretty good deal. I may be the only one saying that, but I think it's like 2,000 credits or 2,300 credits a month. And so if you look at like how many, I can't remember how many songs you can make, but it's like, you can make like hundreds of songs with that, whatever it is. Maybe I could look into like the exact numbers of how many songs you can make with like the $10 a month, but it's a lot of songs. Like every single time I've bought a Suno monthly membership, I've not even got close to the limit. So it could be that Suno raises their rates and says, hey, we're going to charge more money now because WMG wants more money from us. We got to up our rates. Again, I don't know, but again, those are the three things. And I got to be honest that right now, as I see it, one of those three things is 100% going to happen in 2026. Either A, nothing. WMG says, hey, you know what? We just want to get our money from Suno. That's it. Now, maybe Suno even tries to go after DistroKid or Spotify. I don't expect that as much. I think it'd be more on WMG's end. but again, you never know, right? It's tough to say. No one can predict the future, of course. But the first thing is nothing happens. Second thing is, of course, you give a royalty cut. So any earnings that you make from your AI generated music, some of it will go to WMG, the respective right holders. Third thing, your music will be blocked. I think highly unlikely. So the big thing I'm going to say is I am 95% sure for anyone watching this video, nothing bad's going to happen to you or your music. I'm 95% sure is what I'm going to say. Can't be 100%, but I'm 95% sure. I think the worst thing that I see happening is you just have to be prepared that there might be a slight possibility that some of the revenue that you're getting or might be getting or just in general will be receiving from your music, you might have to do a split, some type of royalty split that unfortunately you don't have any control over. That's on WMG's side. Whether they do want it to be a 50-50 split, 80-20, 90-10, 25-75, who knows? I see that being the worst case scenario here. So the good thing is you really don't. I'll be honest, for most people, I'd say again, I'm 95% sure you don't have to worry about your music being taken down. Don't have to worry about, some kind of copyright issue or letter or like a cease and desist legal action being taken against you. I'm 95% sure you don't have to worry about that. Have to worry about that. Remember, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not psychic. Who knows what's going to happen in 2026? But it is going to be interesting because I think with this partnership with WMG and Suno, they are definitely looking to make moves. There's no question there. Moves will be made. But what those moves are, that's tough to say.